This car behind me is my AE86 streetcar project that I call Project Creampuff. I set out 5 or 6 years ago when I first got this car to build the most perfect 86 streetcar that I could come up with. I've done some stuff like Levin front end conversion with a cool CBY bumper, Beams 3S GE with big old panic made ITBs with working air conditioning. And I've really enjoyed driving it for the last year or so, but I don't really like driving it at night. So there's two things with the headlights, I think, that need to be addressed. One, the headlights themselves aren't bright enough, and that's a pretty simple thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the other thing is a little more, I think, tricky. The Levin headlights and stuff are meant for a right-hand drive market car, and where this is a US chassis, and I'm in the US, so this is a left-hand drive car and left-hand drive roads. And so, like, left and right-hand drive headlights are aimed different, and I think that's kind of causing a problem. Let's just get in the car and I'll show you what I mean. And of course, right now my headlights are being annoying and aren't really working. That's a whole problem with the switch and wiring that I got to figure out. But so like, here's kind of the thing. So like left-hand drive cars, the headlights are aimed like kind of like this. The right-hand headlight is higher, left-hand headlight is aimed lower. That way you're not blinding the oncoming traffic that's over here on this side. And with right-hand drive, it's different. This left, the left-hand headlight is higher and then the right-hand headlight. And so when I put the Levin front end on, I actually tried to aim the headlights more for that left-hand drive setup, and I did it as best as I could, I think, and I did a pretty okay job. But the other thing that I'm running into and realizing is maybe there's something wrong with the actual like aiming of the headlights left and right, or like the light output. So like over here on this side, like it's really dark over on this side, the right side. It just like cuts off. You can almost draw like a straight line out the hood, and then it's like no light over here. And then over on this side, it kind of glares off a little more that direction. And I don't know if it's because of the aiming of the headlights, but there's something else that I noticed too that I forgot to do correctly when I did the Levin front end conversion. And that thing is that I forgot to actually wire up these corner lights. And I don't know if these are meant to be corner lights or cornering lights or city lights. I know like a lot of Japanese market cars will actually have like city lights that are only on, like it's a separate setting for when you're driving around the city. Like they're almost kind of like daytime running lights. So I think that might actually be what's going on because there's no wiring for these, there's no bulbs in these, and I need to fix that. And then as far as like the headlight bulbs go, all right, so there's a couple different ratings for light output from headlights or from lights in general. You've got lumens and then you've got like Kelvin, which is like the temperature. So like lumen is actually, I think, how bright the headlights are, at least like how far the light travels. And I could be wrong on that, so I'm not an expert, and maybe I'll put a little description down below to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what lumens are. So technically, higher lumens is a brighter headlight, but it doesn't always appear that way because of the temperature. And what I learned is that in the US, the kelvins, which is the color and temperature of light, has a restriction that is below that of other markets. At least like that's how it is for like halogens. I don't know about LEDs, but it's just kind of crazy to me because like halogen bulbs, you think that you would have a little bit more wider range because they aren't as bright. You can't get halogen lights with as high lumen rating as say like LEDs or HIDs, and we've got crazy bright LED and HIDs on US vehicles at the time. So I don't know what that's all about. But what I learned is that things are a little different in Japan for the rating of the headlights. So did you know that in Japan, their headlight ratings are different as far as what the limitations are? I was just in Japan going to Ebisu Spring Matsuri, and I stopped at Up Garage and a couple other places and I bought some headlights. These are a pair of headlight bulbs for the Levin front end that are 5500 K or 5500 Kelvin, that brighter blue white kind of temperature. And I've had bulbs like these on other JDM headlights in the past, and they just make the car or the light output so much better. And I didn't realize that was a thing until visiting Japan this time and trying to find some. I was like, well, maybe I can find some good quality headlights here or something that people know about. And then I learned that, oh, these are actually a different color. And although the lumens may be the same between the different Kelvin ratings, the white light just seems more visible because it seems to travel, it doesn't travel any further, but it lights things up a little bit more, so it's more noticeable. And with how bright LEDs and HIDs are, and that they're kind of more bright white color, I think this will help. So one of the problems with those corner lights is that when you buy new JDM Levin corner lights is you don't have the socket for that bulb that I'm missing. So I did some looking around, dug through my boxes of wiring, and I had a couple of broken Terreno bumper lights, and as it turns out, this has the right light socket you need. So luckily I was able to scavenge this off of it. We're gonna do is go ahead and clip this. I just need this one right here. And so we'll clip this off and then we're gonna wire that into the car. This is where things get a little tricky. I modified my wiring already. You can see this new connector for the Levin turn signals. And I left just this wire dangling out. And that wire is actually the power wire for the corner light we need. But there's no ground because the ground normally was here and I've got that over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another new connector for the corner light using this. And then we're gonna splice into the ground, which is the black and white wire right here. And then we'll be able to add that connector and the lights will turn on.
This insulation is really old and really crusty. I just need to trim it back a little bit for the splice. I'm trying really hard not to damage any of the bodywork here, and it is very difficult, even with a very nice, very sharp knife. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna cut this one far enough back to where I can splice it in safely. Probably about, say, here. I'm probably going to get a lot of people in the comments telling me, oh my gosh, how could you do that? How could you solder? Solder's not proper wiring repairs, or blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I like soldering. Whatever. It's easy. It works. And in all my years of working on cars, which is 15 years, okay? Never once have I actually had an issue with one of my solders breaking. That is the honest to goodness truth. Is it the proper repair? I don't know. Yes, no, maybe so. I know there's some people complaining about, oh, but vibrations and stuff like that is gonna break it. Well, maybe, but you know, if it comes down to it, I will cross that bridge when we get there. But right now, I just want my lights to work. And I've never had a solder problem, so we'll give that a go. One of the best things you can do for solder is put a nice heat shrink on it. This type is the marine type that's got the glue. So we'll go ahead and heat that up. Get this nice and weather sealed, which also helps provide support for the wire to make sure that it's got some strain relief. Done. And if you're wondering what tools I'm using for doing the crimps here and the wiring and the connectors, I'll put a link to these crimpers and the connectors that I'm using in the video description. I use these for pretty much all of my wiring repairs on my cars. They work pretty good. These are called Deutsch style connectors, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I like them because they are nice and weather sealed, and they've got a really nice connection style that I like. It works out pretty well, easy to modify, undo, all that good stuff. I'm putting in the little lock right now. This side is the hardest one to get in, but once you get it, there we go. I'm gonna do the same thing on this guy here. Plug this guy back in and plug in my turn signal down underneath here. There we go, had to rotate it enough. That's locked in. Go ahead and get this other guy locked in.
After I got those lights wired up, I went out for a test drive last night to see how they did and how much they changed things. No, sorry, you don't get to see that. Not right now, maybe another video. But I'll show you here in the dark of my garage so you can see how much light output there is from these corner lights. All right, here we have no lights on, except for my 3D printer. It's lit up there. And now we turn on the corner lights. That's all that is. That's just the park lights or the corner lights. I'm also trying out 2 different bulbs. So this one on the driver's side is definitely brighter than the passenger side. But you can see that's a, I mean, that's a decent amount of light. At least on this side, that's a decent amount of light. So I'm going to try and put this same bulb that I have on this side, on the driver's side, also on the passenger side, because the passenger side is the one that needs the light the most. Because that's a pretty good amount of light. I'm glad I did that. That's it for this Project Creampuff video. I got these corner lights on. I'm pretty stoked about it. Now I have to, I've got some carpet back here that I'm going to put in soon, hopefully, so that way my feet stop like feeling like they're on fire when I'm driving around, and hopefully it'll cut down on the cabin noise a little bit too. That's the next step anyway for my 86 Restomod project.